Hey, I'm Josh. We're going to show you another tool in your toolbox that you can use to improve your hip hinge archetype today. And it's just a pancake sequence with your legs spread out on the floor. One thing I want to talk about really quick before we do this is our hip positioning. So right now my hip's in neutral, and rotating it posteriorly is when I squeeze my glutes and my hips kind of rotate. You can think about it as rotating backwards, but that's posteriorly. And when I stick my butt back, that's an anterior rotation. So my hips are kind of rotating forward, so to say, but it's really opposite. It just seems like it's rotating forward, and that kind of puts my hips in the same direction as my spine. So when I go and sit on the ground, when I sit down, my hips are generally like in this flex position in a posterior rotation. What I want to do is press my hands in the ground, tilt my hips anteriorly, and sit back down on the sit bones, which is that hard part down there, down in your butt. So you should be sitting on those bones down there. And so our little sequence for this is, oh yeah, real quick, if you have trouble sitting on your sit bones, you can raise it up. We have a little 15-pound plate here. It makes it a little easier to anteriorly rotate your hips. So I put my sit bones at the very edge of this plate, and now it's a little easier to stay up into that anterior rotation in my hips. So now my hips and spines are lined up, and now I'm gonna go through this little sequence. So first, we're gonna start with, grab a band, anteriorly rotate your hips, spread your legs out as wide as they can go. I'm gonna take this band, wrap it around my foot. I'm gonna grab the band with my opposite hand on my foot. I'm gonna take the same hand as the foot that the band's wrapped around, and I'm gonna rotate it through the other way, and I'm gonna try to rotate my head through, trying to pull myself as close to my foot as I can, using this band to slowly work my way down. And we're gonna hold that for 2 minutes on that side, come back to the other side, same thing, grab it with the opposite hand, rotate my body through, shoot my other hand to the opposite leg, and just try and work my way down. Next, after you hit about 2 minutes on each side, I'm gonna get a couple of pulses. So first, I'm going to turn my torso to my one leg, start by reaching as far as I can, and I'm gonna pulse, starting to move to the other leg, getting about 10 pulses, going to the other leg, trying to reach down as far as I can every time I pulse. Once I get to the other leg, keep pulsing back and forth.
So that would be 1 round, so you do 10 rounds of that.
Try and do 10 rounds of pulses. Next, I'm going to do 10 rounds of just sweeping through. So stay bent over, stretching your hamstrings the entire time, and I'm going to slowly sweep across to my other leg. So there and back is 1 round, so 10 rounds of that again. And last but not least, I'm going to then point myself forward and walk my hands as far forward as I can and sit in this stretch for 2 minutes. If you have trouble getting lower in that forward hinge, then I can grab a plate, hug it against my chest, and let this pull myself forward. Again, keeping those hips in a good anteriorly rotated position. Try not to let my spine bend at all, and just hinge forward to that. Another tool in your toolbox to help the hip hinge, and we can become better movers for life.